already. So please, I don't like to subtract, that's 20 points, okay? Yeah, please keep 20 points for you. Okay, so now let's go back here. And here. Everyone of you know how to use the coursework, right? The what do you call the on course, right? Everyone of you know how to do it, how to use this, right? So please log on your internet, and plus please while we have the class, right? Please keep it in silent mode, so that this will disrupt our class. Now, so please, you're welcome to download the information that I upload on this site. And we have bibliography, and this is a teaching that I would like to present to you. And what we have to say. And this is one. And I developed a terminology so that you can use this as the reference, especially, of course, when you study about the Eastern traditions. So unless you have learned before, otherwise, you can recognize some strange word, right? Some strange terminology, right? So I developed this kind of, let's say, Hindu terminology or Buddhist terminology and so forth. So when you don't understand certain terms, go back to this terminology site so that you can recognize. Okay? Yeah. I don't know. Can you give me a hand? How can we turn on? So that I like to open one side for terminology, one side for the presentation. So if we get stuck, we can refer back and forth. Sorry, I have to set up. Yeah. So, do I need to decide to log on again or not? No. Oh, really? Wow. So how about this one?
So whatever you do on the screen will be fine. If you want something over there, just click and drag it over.
This one for terminology, this one for...
Yeah, let's say whatever you want to bring up, just go ahead and bring it up on the screen here. We'll see it up there.
That's why we need you. Okay, let me see. Do you mind me to turn off the light a little bit so that you can focus easily?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to see it.
Yeah. Oh, before I turn off, let me go back here. How many of you have learned something about Hinduism before? Okay. So how much you learn about? How much you understand about Hinduism?
A few semesters ago, I took Asian philosophy.
Okay.
So we learned the basics of Hinduism.
Here or in?
Yeah, here.
Oh, what class is that?
Asian philosophy.
With whom? With Dr. Judy Cato?
Minor.
Oh, Vina. Okay. Which class is that? Asian philosophy. Is that the undergrad level or grad level?
Undergrad.
Oh, okay. So you know that. Wow. Okay, so this is new for you. Who else? Yes.
I actually learned a lot from yoga instructor. She also taught at a Hindu temple or something of that sort in Global, and she gave like lectures in between sessions.
Oh, that's wonderful. So how many of you are practicing yoga now? No? Okay. Only one. How about meditation? Okay. Okay, good. Who else? Who else know? Yes, how much you know about Hinduism?
When I went to the Presbyterian to be a deacon in the Catholic Church, we had to learn a little bit about Jesus.
Okay. Thank you. Who else? Yes, sir. My neighbor. Yes.
I've taken Buddhism before, so we covered a little bit of Hinduism in Bloomington
Oh, Bloomington.
University there. Yeah.
Oh, you?
Yes.
Oh.
And then last semester here I took a class where what was called Religion, Ethics, and the Environment, and we talked a lot about Eastern religions and their so.
Wales. Okay, yes, sorry. Yeah.
My neighbors are
Where?
my neighbors.
Oh, really? In Louisville here?
In
Oh, really? So sometimes you discuss with them about the traditions? Wow, okay. I don't know the population of Hindu people around here. Yeah. Okay, who else? Okay, so you have some idea about Hinduism, right? Okay, let us go over about this first chapter, first and second chapter, introduction to the vision. Okay, let's see here. It's better. Good. So this we study about this. Let's see here. Now the origin and historical developments of Hinduism. So the word Hindu is derived through person from the Sanskrit word Sindhu. I keep everything on my website on the on course. You can download. You can write the note. That's great. And the historic local title for the Indus River. Let me show you guys. Indus River. You have to know. Okay. Oh, anyway, Indus River is right here. It's now belong to Pakistan, and this is that's called the Indus Valley civilizations or the Savasti civilizations. So the word Hindus derived from the Sanskrit word Sindhu, the historic local title for the Indus River right here. In the northwestern part of the Indian subcontinent, which was mentioned in Vedas. We learned about words in Vedas. And the word Hindu also was borrowed into the European languages from the Arabic term al-Hind. That means refer to the land of the Hindu people. And by the 13th century, the Hindustan as a popular alternative names India. That means, yet again, the land of the Hindu people. And the term Hinduism also occurs occasionally in the Sanskrit text. That's what we learned briefly in the class. And at the end of the 18th century, the European merchants and colonists they refer particularly to the followers of Indian traditions or the religions as Hindus. And the term Hinduism was introduced into the English language in the 19th century to denote the religious, physical, and cultural traditions of the native people in India. But actually, there's no specific years and century that the traditions started, and there's no founder figures. Most of the traditions, like Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoism, have the specific founders, but Hinduism doesn't have that. And it's got the cumulative collections of communities, faith, beliefs, and practices. And its ancient roots in Indian indigenous culture and Indo-European people. I think I passed this one. Okay, so you see that people from Eastern Europe migrated to India. You see this is Indus River, Indus Valley is here, and this is famous place, Mohenjo-Daro. Can you see it? Can you guys see? Okay. That's where start the Hindu traditions, Hindu civilizations. And here, you see that if you learn about this. I heard that someone major in history, in religious history or what?
Yes.
So you know this thing, right? Okay. So this is a judge that the people from Eastern Europe migrated to India for 1,000 years. So what we call them Indo-European people, or another term they call Aryan. You know Aryan? Yeah. That's this term here, Aryan. Yeah. Here, Indo-Aryan migration into India in 1750 BC. Since Georgia and move around, and somehow, if you study languages, if you specialize in language, you recognize Indian language has a connection with the European languages too. So again, this cover the pluralistic Hindu society that includes sophisticated philosophies, village deities, and ethical obligations. You see that if you visit India, have you been in India? Who been in India before? No? Okay. Anyone of you in the East before? In China? Thailand? No? So most of you are still in the country. Okay. Do we have the student exchange programs here? We have, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Please take that chance, that opportunities, so that you can visit some country to widen your mind or perspective. Okay, now Hinduism also become popularized because of the scientification that's helped the local traditions and Hinduism. We learn about that too. And the pan-Indian gods, regional deities. If you visit India or if you visit Hindu temple, you see that they worship all kinds of gods. And especially, yes, when you study or when you do any kind of research about Hinduism and Buddhism, you see that this plural God, many gods, it's not one God, like Christian Catholic traditions. And also we have the Brahminization, adoption of the high caste ritual or high caste system, and this still exists up to now, up to this, up to the modern age. I've been in India for 10 months at the end of 1998 and the year of 1999. I have witnessed myself that they still discriminate people by the caste system. You know the caste system? Okay. So probably next time I need to bring this one.
There's another one.
Oh, we have another one there? Where's that?
On the screen.
How about this one?
Over on that side, behind
To
you.
your right. On the wall.
Oh, behind, okay, sorry. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me drive this place here. So the caste system, they have, in general, they have four types of caste system. The first one is, the highest one is, oh, sorry. Can I write it here? No.
That's projection, sir.
Oh. The first one is, or the highest one is the priest. The priest dominate the society. The priests have authorities over almost every factors of Indian cultures. And the second one is the royal class, royal caste. And of course, this type of caste control the militaries, governments in India. The third is the merchant and the business people. Business people are merchant. Okay. And the last one is what they call the slave. And now they I forgot the terms. They call this class, the last one is the untouchable, another term too, I forgot. Somehow anyway. So of course there's many sub-cases among these four major case, but somehow it's still complicated. But if you belong to this, let's say the below class, you may not marry the upper one. They may kill you too. Yeah. So these three classes are called twice born Hindu. That means they can study the Vedas, they can study the Veda text, that means the Hindu text, sacred text, but not for this one. And they can, let's say, they can be baptized into the Hindu traditions. Officially, that's the reason why they call twice born Hindu, like born again Christian. So, but not this one. So if you were born in this class, this is still, you can say, still terrible, because you may be denied your right, education, and so forth. That a lot of right that you could not have like all the classes. So anyway, so this have Brahminization, they adopt the high caste ritual or the caste system. And of course, Hinduism spread to the Southeast Asia, like right now, like Cambodia, some part of Vietnam, Laos, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and so forth. So the reason why if you go to visit, Angkor Wat, Angkor Wat in Cambodia, you heard about that? We learned about that later on too. Where they developed, where they built a huge moments, the huge wat or they don't call monastery or the temple. That's where they worship Vishnu, the Hindu god. Okay, so this Hinduism also flourished in South Asia for more than 1500 years, and now the stages of early Hindu history. Let me move down here. Through the oral traditions, oral transmission, and performing of art through generations. So if you go to visit India, you see some Hindu priests teach their children in open air. They can sit on the floor, they sit outside of the field. So that's the way they keep up with their tradition, the oral traditions, not doing tradition like us. And of course, later on, they wrote down their sacred text. That is the composition of the philosophical certificates, and they edified or the books or the texts according to Hindu traditions. And of course, the earliest Indian civilization that's related to Hindu traditions is between 3000 and 1750s BC, around Indus rivers or other parts, right here, other part of India. Go back. Yeah, it's just around here, and according to the old chronology, the Indus Valley civilization occur around 2000 to 1500 BCE, or according to the new chronology, the Indus Savatthi civilizations occur around 6000 to 1900 BCE, and they start with the Harappan people in the Harappa and Mohenjo. Let me move down here so that you can see they are sealed with image of figures that share the characteristics of Hindu gods later on. Right here. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's their seal. And the image here. That's they share with later Hindu deity Shiva. And the red bath at the Mohenjo-daro may have the religious function. Let me move down the red bath. Right here, you see that? Here, Indus River, the Harappa, and the Mohenjo-daro. This is the red bath. That is still, they still find a lot of old stuff around this civilization, this site. And in general, from this fragmentary evidence, they have 5,000 years of Hindu traditions. So the Vedic traditions start between 1500 to 500 BC, or some say that it's the beginning of the Iron migration. I just show you the Indo-European people, or the people from Eastern Europe, migrate to the northern part of India around 1750s BCE. And the earliest Hindu compositions and the core of India's ancient Proto-Hindu include the Vedas. We have 4 types of Vedas. Let's see here. Let me, okay. Vedas. Well, it's really convenient for us to have 2 screens, right? One is for the lecture, one is for definition. Here. Okay, Vedas just mean knowledge. They are the menus of poetry, rituals, of philosophy. So they consider us transhuman. That's been not altered by human. They just was transcribed by human. It was written text, but according to the Hindu people, they believe that this comes from the word of God, like Hinduism kind of traditions. And they are the large body text originally in ancient India. So there's this is so important. When you talk about Hinduism, Vedas text is the most important. Now remember, only these three classes have the right to study the Vedas. The last one doesn't have that right. And plus, only the priest class could have the authorities to transmit the Vedas text. So it's so strong that it could have it has the impact up to nowadays too. And the Vedic periods is including ritual, sacrifice, dominant of religious teacher. During those times, we have the ritual specialists and the priests. They conduct the fire ritual. They make in the altar. They utilize precise mathematic measurements and recite the hymns. The Vedic religions that emphasize on the observation of the connection between ritual performance and that's in the true justice and righteousness. The Vedic hymns, they sing a song like in the church, right? People sing the song to pray for God, and so do they. They sing this type of hymns and to devote, to show their devotion to their own gods. And through an act of cosmic sacrifice, they believe that the world may have come into being, and some creation hymns that explain, that talk about the caste system especially. And in the Vedic periods of sacrifice-based worldview, they have many important texts, but these two texts are so important, especially the Upanishad, which is long text, it's sacred text. That means the sitting there, the teachers start from 6 BCE. But many religious leaders later on, especially start about 6th or 5th BC century, like Siddhartha. You know Siddhartha? That means the prince who start Buddhism later on, who become Buddha, who start Buddhism. And of course, other important figures like Mahavira of the Jain religions, they reject or they challenge the divine revelation of the Vedas, the types of traditions. The reason why, if you understand briefly or generally about Hinduism, you would know the stand point of Buddhism, how the Buddha developed his worldview, how the Buddha provide the